Okay, let's dive right into this. When we think about traffic offenses, our minds usually go to things like speeding tickets, right? Or maybe a parking fine. But today, we're going way beyond that. We're taking a deep look inside Afghanistan's legal code at three major traffic crimes. Actions so serious and so dangerous, they come with some pretty severe penalties.
So just think about that for a second. What kind of actions on the road are so bad that they cross that line from a simple violation into a full-blown criminal act? We're going to see that these laws aren't just about making traffic flow smoothly. They're really there to prevent serious harm to people's lives, their property, and the basic sense of order we all depend on.
All right, first up, we've got something called changing a car's identity. Now, this might sound like it's straight out of an action movie, but it is a very real and very serious crime. And we're not talking about just a new paint job here. We're talking about illegally changing the fundamental identity of a vehicle in the eyes of the law.
And here's the law itself, Article 561. It's incredibly direct. It says, a person who erases or otherwise alters the machine or chassis number of a motor vehicle shall be sentenced to short-term imprisonment. So no messing around. But let's unpack what that really means.
So with any crime, you've got these key building blocks. The criminal act here is pretty simple. It's literally erasing or messing with those all-important numbers. The criminal intent part is crucial. You have to do it on purpose. This isn't something you can do by accident. And finally, the penalty? It's not just a fine you can pay off. It's short-term imprisonment. The law is sending a clear message here. So, what is this special number they're protecting so fiercely?
Well, it's called the Vehicle Identification Number, or VIN. The easiest way to think about it is like a car's fingerprint. This 17-digit code is completely unique. I mean it, no two cars anywhere in the world share the same one. It tells you everything: who made the car, the model, the year. It is the absolute core of that car's legal identity.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the analogy it makes. It's perfect. A car's VIN is just like a person's national ID, their Tazgara, or even better, their fingerprint. It's supposed to be this unchangeable, unique identifier. So when someone tampers with a VIN, it's basically like they're forging an ID card. It's an act of serious deception.
So, you have to ask, why would anyone risk prison time for this? Well, the reasons are pretty much always criminal. Maybe they're trying to hide the fact that a car was in a horrible wreck so they can sell it for way more than it's worth. Or, and this is a big one, they're trying to disguise a stolen vehicle so they can sell it on the black market. By changing that VIN, they are literally trying to erase its past.
Okay, let's shift gears and move to our second major crime. This one has nothing to do with a vehicle's identity. Instead, it's all about the safety of the road itself. The law calls it disrupting road safety, and it basically covers any intentional act that turns a public road into a death trap.
Article 562 lays it all out. It says a person who intentionally disrupts the safety of road traffic, thereby causing personal or financial harm to others, gets punished. The two magic words there are intentionally and thereby causing harm. This law is not about accidents. It's about someone deliberately creating a dangerous situation that actually hurts someone.
So let's break this one down too. The act is disrupting safety. The intent has to be deliberate. But, and here's the really big difference from our last crime, this one is all about the result. For this crime to stick, your action has to actually cause damage or injury. So if you put a big rock in the road, but a Good Samaritan removes it before anyone gets hurt, you haven't technically committed this specific crime. And the penalty isn't fixed. You get punished for whatever crime your action caused, like assault or destruction of property, and you've got to pay for the damages too.
And just to be clear, when the law says public road, it means it. The definition is really broad. It's any road, street, alley, you name it. If it's not private and it's open to the public, this law applies. It's all about protecting the spaces we all have to share.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? The source gives some pretty vivid examples. We're talking about stuff like putting huge rocks or logs in the middle of the road, digging a trench in the street, or even driving so incredibly recklessly, like weaving between cars at insane speeds, that you are intentionally creating a massive hazard for everybody else.
And this brings us to our third and final crime for today. It's one that's unfortunately recognized all over the world as one of the most selfish and dangerous things a person can possibly do: driving under the influence. Article 563 is really smart because it's split into two key parts. Part 1 is simple. It says that just the act of driving while intoxicated is a crime. Period.
Then, Part 2 adds another layer. If you are intoxicated and you cause an accident, you're also going to face punishment for whatever crime you committed in that accident.
Now, this is a really important legal idea. Driving under the influence is what's called an absolute crime. The law isn't going to wait around for disaster to happen. The act of getting behind the wheel while you're impaired is seen as so fundamentally dangerous, with such a high potential for tragedy, that the act itself is illegal. It doesn't matter if you make it home safely or not. The law is trying to stop the disaster before it ever starts. And the penalty for just the act itself is significant. We're talking about a fine that ranges from 30,000 all the way up to 60,000 Afghani. Or the judge could decide on short-term imprisonment instead. It all depends on the situation.
This slide does a great job showing how the consequences just pile up. Step 1, you commit the act of driving under the influence. Step 2, you're on the hook for that base penalty we just talked about. But Step 3, that's where it gets truly serious. If you cause a crash, you don't get one penalty or the other. No, you get punished for the DUI, plus you get the full legal punishment for whatever damage you caused, whether that's injuring someone, destroying property, or, tragically, taking a life. The penalties get stacked on top of each other.
So we've looked at faking a car's identity, deliberately making roads unsafe, and driving under the influence. After all that, you have to stop and ask the question, why these specific laws? What makes them so important that they warrant such serious consequences?
And the answer, really, is that these laws get right to the very heart of public safety. They're not just a list of rules for drivers, they've got society making a promise to protect everyone. The idea is that when you walk out your door and use a public road, you have a fundamental right to be safe. And these laws are there to defend that right by cracking down hard on actions that directly threaten it. It's about a shared, collective responsibility.
And that leaves us with one final question to really think about. We've seen what the law says, we've seen the penalties, but who is ultimately responsible for safety on our roads? Is it just the government that writes the laws? Is it the police who have to enforce them? Or does it really come down to the individual choices that each and every one of us makes every single time we get behind the wheel?